Thank you, Pim, if you just, thank you. We will have about 50 to 60 minutes. You should know the session is being live streamed on Facebook. Please use the chat function for any technical issues. In the end, after or during the session as well, please feel free to ask questions using the Q&A function on Zoom. We'll also be checking the social media as well. And Pim will show you in a second a hashtag for there, which is actually Amplify COVID-19 response. And we look forward to the session with you. Thank you, Pim. I'll pass straight over to you then.
Thank you, Dominic, and welcome everybody. Glad that there are so many people joining us on this World Refugee Day 2020. And the more than ever important topic that refugees are also having to deal with COVID-19, not just us. And sometimes it seems that they have been forgotten a bit. And that's why we scheduled and cooperated with Karen. Thank you for that, guys, to organize this session. It is organized by basically two organizations, the Faces of Change Foundation. Saskia Hakema is the founder of that, and Impact Leaders International. And we called the campaign, we started early March, Voice for the Voiceless, because we thought, we assessed that let's say it was an ignored or an overseen problem by policymakers and decision makers. So what we thought to do with the campaign is to gather stories of where it happened, so from refugees all over the world, and see how they were meant to deal with this corona virus. I mean, so we've gathered many stories and we made a compilation of them. And Saadet from Impact Leaders, she will introduce this. Thank you. Have a good meeting.
Hello, as Pim indicated, my name is Saadet and I'm from the Impact Leaders International, and I will introduce you to a film and that you will hear about the dilemmas and the catastrophe of the refugees during COVID-19, or as we call it, Corona, which is, I believe it's named after a beer, but I don't know. As you probably all know, that over 30,000 people flee their homes daily. The vast majority remain in refugee camps whose conditions cannot be defined as humane under anyone's definition. We are participating in the degradation of humans and human rights. Now, let me tell you why this issue is very important to me. I've spent the last 30 years of my life working with the refugees. I'm also a daughter of a refugee, a political refugee at that. According to Doctors Without Borders, COVID-19 pandemic disproportionately impacted on the world's most vulnerable, being the refugees. 70 million people, forcibly displaced people, as well as migrant workers, included undocumented migrants and refugees. Many of these are men, women, and children living informally in camps, reception centres, or in detention centres. Most lack access to water, sanitation, and inadequate access to healthcare, and many don't have a legal status. How many more people need to be forced out of their homes before we say enough is enough? Not only do we shame, blame, reject them for atrocities that they had absolutely nothing to do with, we traumatize them when we're supposed to be welcoming them in our countries. We strip them of their dignity and treat them like criminals. In the last few years, and during Corona, we have seen an escalating anti-refugee sentiment. It is global. The numbers are phenomenal. The issue shouldn't be stopping refugees from coming into our countries. the issue should be not forcing them leaving their homes. Yeah, please watch the video.
Yeah.
Little bit back.
At a personal level, you know, how are they dealing with it?
I don't know. There is a wise man who said, when a flu befalls somebody, this friend, when a flu befalls your friend will forget about your death. So his flu makes him forget your death. Now, in the world, the whole world is obsessed, and my heart is with all of them. I don't want anybody in the world to get hurt because of this corona thing. But this corona made the whole world, the whole friends, forget about the deaths inside Syria. Of course, to die of a coronavirus is gentler than dying of a bomb or a missile or whatever kind of atrocities the Syrians are facing.
We are humans, and this is a calling about humanitarian assistance. So the hubs for refugees, these forgotten people, they are now forgotten at this moment because everybody is trying to look after themselves and their families, which is okay at the end. But we're also trying to look after the vulnerable also, which we are doing. And one of the things that I noticed within the vulnerable, if you look at what government has announced, the vulnerable are mostly, don't include asylum seekers. We ourselves, you know, also a lot of grassroots organizations that deal with refugees. I know a lot of you have links with other grassroots organizations, whether it's in Turkey, whether it's in wherever in Africa. The wars are still continuing. What people don't notice is that war is still continuing. Besides the coronavirus, people are still fleeing.
You see, the camp has so many children, all little children, very little children running either with very heavy winter clothing or nothing, like no slippers, no boots, nothing. You could see them very, very lost. Even when they are like 3 or 4, you could see they are depressed or they have something wrong with them. And this is, you could see in general, it's not like one child or 2 child, you see them not normal. Of people, of refugees I talk to, not only Syrians, Afghans, Iranians, Yemenis, they are terrified, like absolutely terrified of the corona issue. Like literally, I used to go to I served mostly out of in the olive grove out of Moria, like just out of it. And I went to families, I registered what do you need, like nappies, size 4, nappies, size 5, sugar, blah, blah. And everybody comes, please masks, please the sterilizing liquid. And of course, you can imagine there's no sterilizing liquid in Mytilene, no masks, nothing. It's
now we have the problem with this virus.
How is the situation in Honduras? Has it reached Honduras already?
Yes, it's risk and exists or also another problem, the risk for the virus and also the government that gets, Saskia, a lot $1 million. To help the people. The money is give the international organization to help the people, to help the citizen. But if you go, later I send you, if you go to the hospital, public hospital to Honduras, in all Honduras, the doctors and nurses use garbage bags for cover and for protect against infections. The prosecutors in open public ministry that attend the public, the people use just one mask. And it's enough.
And that's it. They cannot change it.
No, just one and cannot change.
I would like to share that how the refugees are spending life in the camps, and due to coronavirus and the closing of everything and supermarket, how it has affected the life of refugees. The people are restricted to stay at their homes and their rooms, especially the children, due to this disease. It's a good step that they should stay at their homes, but the other problem is that they don't have enough food and everything like the other people who are rich and who can manage with this emergency. But what about the refugees who doesn't have enough space and their rooms? Even in one room there are 5 and 6 people are living, so how they can store their food and other stuff in their rooms? And even the kitchen is so small, means there are more than 8 and 10 people on one kitchen, so how they can manage? And the other problem is that outside the supermarkets are closed and nothing is available, so it's another panic problem for all the refugees. The authorities and the decision maker, they should also think about the life of refugees and their needs and requirements. There are mostly elder people and children who has some health problem, and the doctor appointment has been cancelled.
Oh, I think I have to unmute myself. Good afternoon. My name is Saskia Harkema. I'm CEO and founder of Face of Change. And we took the initiative to set up this platform, Voice for the Voiceless. And I'm very happy that we are having this group of people in our panel for a dialogue. I will shortly say who they are, and then we are going to have this conversation with each other. So we have Polly Hagenaars from the Global Network of Psychologists. We have Anila Noor from New Women Connectors. We have Margriet Jongerius. She was a former politician for the Green Party in the Netherlands and now works for another organization. Yasmin Rejepi from NGO Legis in Macedonia is doing wonderful work. Sadet Ozdemir, who is also going to participate. And of course, Shumaila Anwar, she's CEO and founder of the Initiative for Diversity, Inclusion and Peace. So thank you. And also, but he's not here yet, Obaida Abdul Rahim, he will also be joining later. Who's one of the initiators of the Syrian Alliance for Democracy. First of all, I would like to ask you to react on the film. So can you just comment on the film that you just saw? Maybe you want to start, Margriet.
Yes, what I saw is that there's a lot of people don't have the stuff they needed to be safe, and I'm very disappointed that we don't look after those people, especially the child. They live together too much, too close to each other.
Yeah. Okay. Polly. Yes, you have to unmute yourself. Yes.
Yeah, the three basic rules we all have to follow. Social, or more exactly, physical distancing, washing hands, and mouth caps are not available. You know, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, that's the cynical part of it. Yeah.
So cynical. And the second is that I'm always amazed about the resilience of people and the resilience of the refugees and their way of coping.
Yeah, so it has two sides, basically. On the one hand, the enormous suffering, and on the other hand, the enormous resilience that they show.
That
And
makes
then,
me feel
yeah,
humble, yes.
yeah, okay. Shumaila, can you react to the film?
Yes, as one of the refugee, she was sharing that how, well, at one time in one room, 5 people have to stay, you know, and they live together under one roof, one room. And then in this situation, there is no idea of social distancing. Yeah. And also, like, it's very kind of terrifying for them. And at the same moment, it is kind of traumatizing for them as well. So it is also concerned to their mental and psychological health as well.
Yeah, that's very obvious. Yasmin, because you're so involved in your work with refugees, you've seen so many.
Yes, this is one of the things that we are seeing to the locals when we talk to them how to prevent the spreading of the virus. And I used to say, imagine there is a people on this planet that we work with them, that they can even afford the mask. There's so many in the camps that they cannot make the distance. And they are afraid for their health, for the health of their elder and the children, and they can do nothing. And you can do many things because you're at home, but you're not doing nothing to protect yourselves and the other people in the society. When we have people that are not aware about the serious virus threat on the health of the population in the planet, especially are not aware about themselves and the people in their country, how they can be aware about the people in need, about the refugees that are really, really, for example, in Macedonia is easier. We don't have that much at the moment. We can afford, we can give them, but there are places like Turkey, like in the war zones in the, for example, Syria and other places, we cannot come to this place and we cannot access and help to all these people.
So you cannot even reach them. Yeah, yeah. That's okay. I want to, because I very clearly want to also make a call to action. So I want to move the dialogue into another direction. In my view, I was thinking about this, you know, when I was preparing, and I thought, I will be satisfied when we don't have to celebrate World Refugee Day, because there will be no refugees. And maybe that's very far-fetched, but still, I really honestly believe that this is what we should strive for, and that we shouldn't have a World Refugee Day. So what would your call to action be? So what can we do in actual fact? Because it's a grim picture that we are seeing. So who would like to say something about it? Maybe Anila?
Yes, thank you, Saskia. Thank you so much for settling this and showing this video of voices for refugees background. I will start with different point of view. As Polly said, we also have other side of resilience of this refugee who are living in situation, and this COVID give them more lack of access to information and lack to access to the water. But I think in our experience, because we are as a refugee leaders, we are in contact and we are monitoring the refugee response to COVID, how due to this COVID-19 they are dealing, and they are taking the initiative by their own. And I think this is the point we really want to show, the resilience and their voiceless. I will not say that they are voiceless, but their lack of opportunity where they can share their voice as an important voice. because these voices, as a New Women Connector, we are taking it on the European and global level, and we are saying these voices are highlighting why system are still failing them, why system is always forget about them. And these voices are actually showing the poverty, showing the vulnerability of the system, not of these people, but of the system. So I think we need to be very careful, and we need to be not taken as a refugee. Myself, I'm a refugee living in Netherlands from last 4 years, and we found we've been tokenized, we've been invited to be participate only as a to share our story. So I'm so happy you are putting this together, but we really want also to improve the amplifying these voices as a meaningful way, and to say we are here using these voices to highlight the gaps of policy, the gap which is not helping them, and the resources which are giving them to get out of this danger, get out of this thing. So I think this is really important to give a visibility, and to led by refugee initiative is very important. I saw, as Shumaila also said, we as a refugee woman, we are taking lead, and we are creating visibility to give the opportunity to all, encourage refugees to take the lead and give them more visibility. So it's really important. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Polly, what could we do? Because I think we've done so much talking in the past decades.
The strange thing is that that's what's going on is a kind of parallel process, you know. I think we all feel the powerlessness, and we feel the frustration, which is parallel to the situation refugees are in. And we also experience to be marginalized. So, for example, as part of some psychologist groups, it's very difficult to keep them going. You know, there are wonderful, wonderful, wonderful people, but for associations, really to stand up and really to make time and really to do something, that's difficult. So what we are trying to do is to knock, knock, knock on the door every time and every time. And that's one of the reasons we started the Global Network of Psychologists for Human Rights, because refugees, of course, they are entitled to human rights. But when you don't have civil rights, like Hannah Arendt, where are the rights you have? And so the action has to be, now I don't want to make it too long now, but it has to be on different levels, and we can talk about it.
Okay, okay, thank you. Yasmin, because it's, it's...
For me, our motto of our organization is voice of the voiceless, and when I received your invitation, voice for the voiceless, actually, of course, all of us, we are doing the same thing. What the refugees need and what we can do is actually more possible if we change some bigger things. First of all, I think that we cannot use the same definition for refugees as it is now, because it's very small. It's just about the people from war and prosecution. And what about the people from escaping from climate change? What are the people?
Because poverty.
Do we, as Western countries or developed countries, have any responsibilities to them? Yes, we do. So first, if we change the view over them, then we can see that we have more obligation towards them, and that then if we know as a citizens, an organization and a civil sector, then we should imply this to our political parties, our governments, to change all of this. And then in United Nations, this term, this definition must be changed, so we can embrace everyone and work for everyone. One of those aims is United Nations or all of our countries, all of our organizations must working more on peace in the war zones, but in the zones affected by the climate change or the zones affected by hunger, for example, we have to have also approach to them and to help them in their countries, as well as helping them on the move, especially the ones that are stuck in the routes where they are transiting towards Europe.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Margriet. Because we have unfortunately limited time, so I have to move on a little bit quickly.
Yes.
Yes, because you of course are politically very active and.
Yes, we can. We must do it in bigger opportunities, but I think we can also have a concrete opportunity. Why don't we have the refugees, the volunteer refugees from the Greece island, sent to all over Europe so that they have no problems on the camps in Greece? That's a very concrete point.
Very concrete and very important. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that. Obaida, happy you joined us.
Yeah.
Just asking, we were describing the picture. We saw the film describing the picture, but I don't have to tell you about it because you know how the picture is.
Yeah,
and
of course.
Now asking, what could we do? So this is also a question to you, Obaida.
So first, I am how to say it? First, I am very sorry about my English. It's not my second language.
No, neither one of us, so okay. Don't worry about that.
So first, I am okay with James. First, we must find the definition word of about the word of refugee. Who is it? A refugee of climate, refugee of torture, refugee of war, or refugee of economical refugee? I think it's all this this different definition. It's about how the politic describe them in our country. So and second one, I want to say that here in Netherlands we are a group of about 44 Syrian doctors, and we put our we wanna enjoy any action about COVID-19. So we are ready to help if something will be happen here in Netherlands. But I want to talk also about more than words. I want to talk also about the camp in Greece and the camp in Jordan, in south of Syria. I want to talk about the camp also everywhere in the world, and what we must be to do as action for them in this particular time.
Yeah, yeah, okay. So that's, yeah, okay. Shumaila.
Hi, thank you, Saskia. I want to just raise some points, as well as I want to just comment on like these policies. There are already existing policies about the COVID-19, and of course, government is doing more and more, and they're awareing the people. But I just want to know if government or the policymaker, they have really taken in account to the special condition of the refugees, because for example, there is the lack of resources in the asylum seeker camps, in the asylum camps over there, and because there is a general policy to fight with the COVID-19, but there should also be some special policies for the refugees itself. And my second point would be about like, as this platform is a voice for the voiceless, I would really appreciate, because you know what is sorry, I must reformulate my question that is there any gap between the organizations who are working for the refugees and the refugees themselves? Because why refugees are feeling voiceless despite of having so many organizations around them, and still they feel like that, okay, there is nobody to help them to fight with this dilemma, this pandemic of COVID. So we all have to review our policies, our working way of working towards these people who are living in the asylum camp.
Yeah. Dominique, I'm going to ask you how much time we have left. Yeah? Okay. Yes. Okay. So, well, this issue that you mentioned is very important. We thought about Voice for the Voiceless because they do have a voice. But the thing is, we don't hear them. And that's why we want to amplify their voices. And this is really very important also, I think, to reach out to the people on the ground. You know, for instance, if you think about Syria, there is 1.2 million people in the northern part of Syria living in tents. This is unimaginable. And there are also in Latin America, all the people that left Venezuela, they're sending them back. I've seen pictures of people in makeshift tents of garbage paper, you know, trying to survive. So, but I also want, because you're also a refugee, Saadet, so I also want to ask you, what should we do? What can we do?
I agree with Polly and Jasmine and Shamala. We need to look at policies and we need to change those policies. We need to define what the new refugee is, and also Abida mentioned that, because we also got unauthorized migrant workers working around, and we've got work issue safety. You've got the environment issues, and the environment impact, sort of more displaced persons, and who are the, sort of perpetrators of this, the mining industry and a whole lot of big organizations, which is, part of the countries that we come from. I'm from Australia, unfortunately for Australia, and for the people in Australia, that we've got a, sort of an island that no one goes to. We just dump them there. They don't even have access to any medical unless it's been approved by the government. So I think, it was also mentioned that European needs to do something about it. If we can empty some of those and give them settlement and make them, sort of have homes and get their children into school, that's an achievement. But without changes to policy and without defining what refugee is and what the refugee in the 2020, with all the diseases and, sort of the climate and a whole lot of other things, I think we could be on a good thing. And yes, Shamala, 100% right. So we've got all these organizations linked together, built up strength. I was thought if you organize the organizations to organize the unorganized, then we'll all be organized. I know it's, sort of with words, but if we can't even do that on the ground, we've got bigger issue to worry about. We can come back to these for 30 years. I'm going to be 60 this year. Nothing has changed. We went 2 steps forward and 4 steps backwards, and with more issues. And the vulnerable are the women, and vulnerable are the children and the men. I started working when the Yazidi woman, we still haven't achieved, and we don't know where they are. We can't even hear from them. The Yemenis started, the Libya started, but the issue remains on European changing policies, treating these people as humans, and, sort of, and then we'll look at policies and similarities and linking organizations together, and then also, giving the voice back to the voiceless.
Okay. Well, I think it's very clear that there's a very big sense of urgency. So I still also hear hope, fortunately, because that's very important, that we keep hope alive, and especially also that we send out that message, because this is what I can imagine, that if you are living somewhere helpless in a place where there is no any form of safety or security, you need people like all of us to be their voice and to keep that hope alive.
Saskia, yes, I think...
I want to go on, yes.
No, I think maybe we're even saying the same thing, because you may have seen as well, there's been at least 4 people now who would like to tell us something about their own story. And I think that's really great. I've tried to keep the order a little bit. So Omar, you've also written something in the chat now. If you would like to speak, we can unmute your microphone for you. I think Anne can do that. Omar has written here that he is in, let me just see here. I don't want to get it wrong. He's in Somaliland, and he wanted to talk a little bit about the situation there. I'll just tell you the other people while we're sorting out the microphone for Omar, if that works. We also then have two other comments. One from Buena, who wanted to tell us about the situation in the Kiaki 2 settlement in Uganda. And then we also have a comment from Alwan from Syria, and Jay, I think he wanted to make a comment as well. He's originally from, I think, Sri Lanka, if I remember. The information is missing a bit now, but he's now in, that's right, he's now in Toronto. So I think it's really nice to get some of these voices in as well. We just see if we manage to get it technically right. Anne, if you could give us a sign if this is working. I think you've also seen the same name, so if you can't manage with the first person, then just take the next.
Omar, can you please unmute yourself? Okay, we can't get Omar, but I'm going to try Boama now.
Yeah, great, thank you. Oh, that looks very good.
Hello.
Yeah. Hey, perfect.
Okay, great.
Hello, this is Bwema Matata Bienfait. I am a refugee in Uganda for 9 years.
Good afternoon, welcome.
Yes, and I want to share congratulations to host you in World Refugee Day. As a refugee, I really congratulating you. I'm a Congolese refugee living in Uganda for 9 years. Yeah, I want to share you the experience we are facing as refugees, and I need you to be a fighter, or not to be a fighter, but to help these refugees. Because as the UNHCR Uganda, they normally fight to get funds from Europe, everywhere, but we need that funds to support refugees in need, to see what's happening in the ground. Because in this time of Corona, or of COVID-19, refugees are dying. They reduce their monthly ration for $6 actually per day. As we know, World Food Program, they say they don't have a lot of funds. But what we need to focus. If we get some little funds, we make self-resilient to these refugees around, because they can be able to help their fellow refugees who remain. For example, when they give us a scholarship to study, that's good, because they are going to give impact. But it's good when you give 2 or 3 refugees, let them come back and they give back to their communities. For example, when they came back from Kampala or from where, and they want to give back to the community, to teach them, creating awareness about SGBV, but they don't have that opportunities to give it back to the community. Because in a refugee camp, really, we have people who cannot access the internet the way I'm accessing it. But the way we want to raise this voice, so that we can also see what's happening. They just come to say we are creating we need funds, but that fund cannot even help the refugees. And when you want to create a project, you're supposed to involve the people you are going to support. Because if you don't involve people, it's going to be a gap, because you're going to design a project which is not going to help them. We need to be a voice. You people, you need to be a voice, to be vigilant. Don't give money where you can't find out. Yeah, because in Uganda, actually, for example, right now we're in the COVID-19 situation, whereby actually we don't even see creating awareness about COVID-19. Even in World Food Program, if you see the pictures, they say so this, it's not there. But they use money for going to host radios, talking there, because we have even refugees who cannot access radio to listen what's happening. But if they involve the same refugees to create awareness. They involve VSTs, those are village health team, to create awareness about that disease. It cannot help. Because when you look, for example, in Rwamanja refugee settlement.
Sorry, can I interrupt you? Because yes, we have limited time, unfortunately, and it's very clear your message.
But now I have a link. Maybe we can share with you an email address.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We have all.
Maybe you can
don't
share
worry.
with us.
Yeah, we will get in touch with you. That's don't worry about that because we have your name. Thank you for your sharing your story.
And there are more people who want to share their stories and ask how they can share their stories, because after this hour, if our work is not finished, we go on and we have the Voice for the Voiceless Facebook page, and we get in touch with each other. There's also Omar from Somalia who is writing a lot, and Dominique and Anna, did you get in touch with Omar? Because we really want to share his story.
Yeah, it looked to me like he might have managed to get his microphone sorted. So can we try this again, Anna?
Yeah, I've tried to unmute it again and not yet.
Okay, fine. Then I would say we'll still try to get Omar, but we could maybe...
Yeah, maybe there are questions, because I saw so many people reacting. Maybe you can take over, Karin. There are questions from participants to the panel members.
On the Q&A right now, Dominique, can you help me?
The Q&A were exactly people who would like to tell us a bit more about their situation. That's why I thought it would be quite good.
Yeah.
Alwan has also written something here, but Alwan, you're also very welcome to also speak to us. We can try and unmute your microphone if you've got the accessibility to be able to speak. Great, that looks good. And trying to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect, thank you. Off you go.
How are you?
Very
okay,
good, thank you.
You hear me now?
Yes, perfect.
Thank you so much for attending for the join me to you today. My language.
Sorry, but there is a problem with the
enormous
voice.
echo. It's very difficult to understand.
Okay. Hello. Yeah. Okay, my language is very well. I'm a student in the Cairo University of Unofficial University in Germany. I think
you still have echo, please.
I think the asylum has become the commercial issue among the countries of the world as they look at the countries of asylum districts. Now, I think so. That's my opinion. While the children, on the woman, on the old people dying there, we have more refugees on the world, like Syria or another war. Thank you so much. That's my opinion.
Sorry, the sound wasn't so good, but thanks very much for making a contribution, and I think just in emphasizing how important that is. I just wanted to, the last person who made a comment, I would like to see if we can take him, would be Jay, and then we can move on back to kind of wrapping up a little bit. Let's just see if Jay can make a comment as well. Okay, if we don't manage straight away, then I think then I'll hand it back to you. I think it was an interesting really point. It wasn't that people wanted to make so much questions. They just wanted to make, oh, here we go. Here's Jay.
There's Jay.
Please, yeah. If you could keep it a little bit short, Jay, but thank you very much for making your contribution. Off you go. If we manage to unmute you now.
Hi, Jay, can you unmute yourself, please?
Hello?
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me now?
We can, yes.
I hear you.
Yeah, this is good.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. In the beginning, I would like to thank you all in Cairo and the UNHCR for giving the chance to speak in the conference like this and to offer the issues that refugees are facing around the world. So, in the beginning, I want to tell you that today I wanted to go to the street and join to the refugees here in Somaliland by speak and talk to them and trying to feel and listening to their issues. I have listened to many refugees here in Somaliland, and I guess nobody of these refugees like are free of issues. All of them have issues around the Somaliland. These people, as you know, this country are unrecognized country because we have an issues between the south and the north, which create a gap among the Somali people themselves and also the refugees. Beside that, we have many issues, especially through COVID-19, such as medical assistance, such as the allowance, and we have another issues like this. Not only that, and also I tried to join to some businessmen here in Somaliland, and all of them are facing the same issues, which is expenses, which is allowance, which is medical assistance, which is perhaps I will participate with the video that I've tried to make, and I will publish it in the social media.
Yeah.
But actually, I'm carrying on a message from them to you, because they are suffering a lot, and they need the humanitarian organization around the world to look at them, especially in the country which is an unrecognized country. And thank you so much for your efforts.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Jay.
So much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing also your story. I think we have to wrap up. I would like to ask with one sentence, all the panel members, your message to the decision makers. What would you say to them?
Yes, I would like to start. I think the message is what I really say always and will say: nothing about us without us. It's really important. We've been, as a refugee, we've been beyond the table of the policy making, and we've been the designing, and we are the one who are leading our humanitarian initiative on the ground with all limited resources. So we need to be involved on all policy making and procedure. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Polly.
Sorry. I think the other part to give people a voice is to listen, and I think we have to use that phrase again, to knock on all those doors, listen to our politicians, to our own organizations, to just the private people around us. Listen, 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 listen.
Okay, Yasmin.
The refugees in Macedonia, but also in the Balkans, in all this Balkan route, are stuck, they're isolated, they're closed, they're forgotten, they're hunted. Nobody cares about them. Every country wants to put them somewhere where they cannot see them and where the public cannot see them, and they should not be the problem of the country. That's why we have to say loudly that we are the voice of their voices, and that there is no alternative for solidarity and for the respect of human rights.
Thank you, Yasmin. Obaida.
What I wanted to say, we must have a voice, voice who make a difference with political maker in the world. Yeah. Well, we are a movement. We can say we are a movement. We have a lot of people who know the situation. What is but we need some act more than talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vaida. Margriet.
Yes, I think we must start more dialogue between the refugees and the politicians. But that's not enough. I think we have also give them the money they need to have protect themselves. So medicals, mouth for the mouth. How do you call it?
Masks.
Mouth mask. But also our support to give them jobs, to give them education, even if they are not staying long at the place where they are.
Yeah. So create a perspective. Okay, thank you. And you, Shumaila, you have the last word. Last and not least.
Thank you. Actually, I think that being a part of civil society, we can influence the policies, government policies towards this refugees as well, and also to fight with COVID-19 at the moment. And if you see in the asylum camp, because the refugee and asylum asylum seekers, you know, these two are different terminologies. Unfortunately, we have been focusing on the refugees; those are the status holder, yeah. But we have been, it's not like we are neglecting them, but it's been overlooked, the people who are living in the asylum camps. So being a civil society, we'll have to take some initiatives for those people who are living in the asylum camps at the moment, because they really need us. Thank you for being the voice of those voiceless people. Thank you, Saskia.
Thank you all panel members. And Pim is the one that is going to finish off this this workshop. So I give him the last word.
Even kijken. Yes. Thank you very much, Saskia. Eens kijken of dit vloeiend gaat. So this is the end of our session, Amplifying Refugee Voices during COVID-19. Thank you for participating. I think it's pretty clear to all of us that these options for refugees, especially when you're locked up in a camp, are quite limited. If you look at, let's say, the guidelines that we get from our governments, then half of them is impossible for refugees, and other ones are quite difficult to sum up. What they can do is more difficult than what they can't do. So there's no good multilingual information on our guidelines. In the Netherlands, we had a problem that we had only Dutch information and not in Arab and Farsi and so on. There is no room for social distancing. It's too crowded in refugee camps. There's no room for isolation. There is little access to healthcare, which is really an issue because also volunteers had to withdraw from refugee camps. And there's not enough budget for the things that are quite hard to get, like clean water and hygienic stuff and personal protection stuff. So there's no surprise here, I think. But what lessons have we gathered this afternoon in the past 50 minutes is that raising awareness really works, because we already reach now, didn't notice the last count, but over 100 people in this session. And they will be part of a larger network that become more and more aware of what is happening by, as some of the panelists said, listening to refugees or people that are displaced in a more broad term. Of course, we need to improve information, and where we can help that to translate it, the guidelines, and bring that to people that need it. Enable, as one of you told us, enable refugees to act themselves. We are always surprised about the resilience people show, but we have to give them the means. And of course, we need to influence policy making. It's logic that the policymakers act decisively first for the majority. But if I marked under point 6, the second point should be looking special measures for vulnerable people. And by marking refugees as vulnerable people, new policies can take care of this target group. And of course, we have to raise more money through big organizations like UNHCR, Red Cross, but also like your organization in Macedonia, the Legions. So local organizations are in practice much more flexible in adapting to crisis situations. Well, this is all short term, but in the long term, we think we should work on, and I have to move the video things. The long-term system influence. So the system is not working. As Saadet said already in the past, if I look at the past 30 years that she is experiencing this, nothing changed, basically. 2 steps forward, 4 steps back, she said. So one of the things you mentioned is changing the definitions, because definitions are used against us. I think Shamaila also said that. Huh? And one of the things we need to do for that is that we bring together all these refugee support organizations and bundle our power, be more powerful. And that's also the good thing about World Refugee Day, is that all these organizations also have these activities to meet each other. In the end, it should also improve the resources for refugees. Okay, now our plan with this project, campaign, Voice for the Voiceless, was to give voice to refugees, let them do the talking, and let them help to make solutions, and give them access to decision makers. And step by step, we are making that happen. And today was a beautiful example, and I really enjoyed this. We would like to extend it, of course, but this session. And I think by gathering stories and enabling, let's say, other people to listen to these and look at these stories is really a way to bring this mainstream and bring the topic to decision makers. So I want to end with a call on all of you to link up with our platform that gathers the stories and shares the stories. First of all, you can see the full-length videos of the clips we used in the montage earlier today. And you can start discussions there. You can help us gather more stories, schedule debate with decision makers, and get better and faster urgent actions. In the end, we contribute to a better world. Please stay in touch. On Twitter, we have this hashtag running, and you see the websites here to link up. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it or saw the benefit of it as much as we did, and hook up to make this better together.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Pim, I think we saw each other with my friend Mahmoud Nahas, the painter, in Lelystad.
Yes, true. Thank you.
Yeah. I remember you. How are you doing? Good?
I'm good, thank you.
Oh, this is good. I see the conversations are continuing, which is always good. Thanks ever so much to everyone who took part. Thank you also for emphasizing this, many voices, especially now as well. Many voices should continue. And I think the main key point I've written down is, nothing about us without us. I think that's a very, very key point. So we look forward to continuing the discussion, and thanks ever so much for taking part. Have a great day and continue talking.
Thanks.